What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's JJ and I'm here with Juan at WR Experts. They are located in South Florida, so if you're in the area, this is one of the best Subaru shops to go to, guys. Make sure to check them out at WR Experts Auto Works on Instagram or Facebook. They also have one of the fastest newer Supras, so if you're into those as well, make sure to check it out. Guys, I've seen everything from high horsepower mopeds, lawnmowers come out of here. Just make sure to check them out. Also, guys, quick shout out to Nippon Power for the parts. They have so much stuff in stock, guys, and if they don't, they will get it to you quickly. Make sure to check them out. I'll leave a link to their website in the description.
All right, guys, we're gonna be installing one of these. Nice Killer Bee equal-length header with up pipe and a Tial wastegate. So let's get things started.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?
As always, disconnect the battery first. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the ground. Last thing we need is short something out and try to figure out what fuse blew. Usually there's a top mount. On his case, he's got a front mount on it, so we're just gonna go ahead and make some room to make our life easier. We're gonna go ahead and take out this charge pipe.
Limitation, hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine.
He's also got a Cobb heat shield. We're gonna go ahead and remove that so we can access the downpipe. Basically, you got two 10mm on this side. Break those loose. And then the one that I hate the most is the one on this side here. Just gotta reach down. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start unbolting the downpipe from the top. Since we're gonna have to remove it so we can loosen the up pipe, we're gonna start with the two top ones. It's a 14mm bolt with nut combo. Just gotta break it loose. Just removing the heat shield bracket so we get it out of the way. Throw that to the side. We're gonna go ahead and start attending the side ones. There's 5 in total. So you got 2 bolts on the top, 3 studs with nuts on the bottom. The last one that's completely directly under the downpipe, we can address it once we lift up the car. Alright. Bottom one, we'll take care of it from the bottom, but you always want to do is we're gonna have to tilt the motor so we can get the up pipe out. We're gonna have to loosen up the pitch mount. So these are known, 15 pluses are known to have a weak pitch mount mounting, so we don't want to risk cracking it. So we're just gonna go ahead and loosen up the pitch mount, lift it up out of the way, so that way we can tilt the motor.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right?
So go ahead and lift it up, so that way you have room to incline the motor. Last one is the bottom nut. Most of the time you just break it loose and then you can unscrew it. Now that the downpipe is loose off the turbo, we're gonna go ahead and start disconnecting it from the turbo back. All right, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the J-hook. And then once we got that, a lot of people make the mistake. They forget that they have to disconnect the rear oxygen sensor, which is mounted on the tail section of the downpipe. So we're just gonna go ahead and unplug it from here. So a little pop clip, you can just pull it off. And then just bring the cable down so we don't damage it. And then we're just gonna go ahead and lift up, push back on the J-pipe, on the J-hook so we can clear it. Not J-pipe, J-hook, but. And downpipe is out. All right, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect, unbolt the up pipe from the turbo. So you're gonna have, it's gonna be hard to see. Let me just remove this downpipe gasket out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and unbolt out of the 5 nuts that hold the up pipe to the turbo. We're just gonna go ahead and start unbolting them. We'll start with the back ones. It's gonna be hard to see, but basically you got 2 of them, one that holds the back of the turbo, and then the other one goes to the bracket that supports the weight of the turbo. Literally right next to it. We're just gonna break it loose for now. Now you have one on the side here. If you look down there, you'll be able to see it. It's the outside one. Break that one loose. And then you have the one on the inside of the turbo. Broke that one loose. And then you have the supporting bracket on the outside, which is on the passenger side. There's a support bracket as well for the pipe. And break that one loose. Now that we get the car up in the air, we have to remove the header. So first things first is we gotta disconnect unbolt the O2 sensor. Get yourself an O2 sensor kit, tool kit, and just pry it. Shit, I just corrected it. This is for the adult oriented shit, so it doesn't need that. Alright, once it's out, we're gonna go ahead and unbolt the 4 12mm that hold the heat shield. You got one here, one in the front, and one back here. Then on this side, you got 3 of them. You got one here, and one in the back. Go ahead and take that off. That'll now expose us to all 6 of the header nuts. Next, we're gonna go ahead and adjust the 2 nut and bolt combo that connects the header to the up. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and attack the header to head nuts on the stud. Usually they're kind of tight, so you might wanna just break them loose at first. And then we're gonna go to the other side now.
That nut's still on over here.
Yeah, I left it on so it doesn't fall. There you go. Be very careful. If you're doing this by yourself, just break the header. Drop the nut. Now you gotta do this. Header comes off. As you can see, the up pipe is loose and ready to come out, but it won't fit from under between the cradle and the actual head. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the nut for the motor mount. All right, pause. For those of you that are on the floor, I would say since we're on the lift, we could go ahead and use a tall jack stand with a wood block. But if you're doing it on the floor, try to find yourself a wood block. I usually just catch it right here on the bottom ABCS solenoid block, because all we're gonna do is just tilt the motor slightly. As you can see, it's coming up and giving us a little more room to get the up pipe out. And up pipe is out. For those of you wondering, if you didn't see it on the video when I was unbolting the up pipe from the turbo, this is the one with the bracket on the back side. This is the one with the turbo, and then this one that goes to the front passenger bracket to support the weight of the turbo. Now that we got the up pipe set up, go ahead and put the gasket on, and then we're just gonna fish it again. On the head. All right. We're gonna go ahead and mock up the up pipe on the turbo. You don't have to go crazy. We're just gonna go ahead and just hand tight these nuts in place just so that the up pipe doesn't drop. And we got the side one too. We're gonna go ahead and drop the motor back down. Just make sure the motor mount falls on its cradle. We're gonna go ahead and bolt up the motor mount back so we don't forget this. Motor mount's intact. Since we're swapping out the header, we no longer have a heat shield anymore. So the ground, if you notice on the EBCS solenoid block, there's a port there. If you had the stock header, the stock heat shield, it's got multiple 10 millimeters, just save one. We could just reuse one of those. Put it on here. I mean, if you're going to the trouble of taking out the downpipe, you might as well just remove the heat shield and get an aftermarket one. But go ahead, just mount it right there in that port, and then it's nice and soldered and grounded.
Are you ready?
Go ahead and just set up the header gaskets. You just lay them on to somewhat stay in place on both sides. Now, when it comes to the header, sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes they'll go in on the first shot. I'll just line it up on the tip. And I'm fully in. So once you have it set up, just again, presented by hand, just put a nut on each end so you can let go of the header. And go ahead and put in the rest of them.
All that turned me to a target. They be plotting on me, I be cautious. Back then I was an adolescent, then I had a
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and start setting up with the header loose and the up pipe loose. Go ahead and start setting up the hardware from header to up pipe. Start tightening up the header.
all the way down. Put it down for me. You say you down for me. You say you hold it all the way down. Put it down for me. Put it down for me. You say you.
Tying up the header to up pipe. All right, because the mounting point for the O2 sensor now is on the inside, it's a little further travel. Now, if you notice on the passenger side, these little plastic clips. Oh, we'll grab the wrong tool, but I'm just gonna pop them out. Let's go ahead and disconnect the real tube so we can reroute this in a different manner. Take it out. We're gonna go ahead and start putting the O2 sensor back in. Just make sure you catch it straight.
Hold it down for me. You say you down for me. You say you hold it all the way.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and just tighten up the O2 sensor in place. And then we're just gonna route it away from the header. You could even go as far as over the grounding. And then we're just gonna toss this up as we'll attack that later on and route it up there. Now that we came down with the car, we got the back ones presented. We're gonna try to get the front ones now from the pending nuts from up pipe to turbo. And the one on the inside of the turbo. Basically, you're gonna bolt down the 3 nuts that hold the turbo, and then you're gonna bolt down the actual bracket ones. And you're set. Now, be very careful. When the wastegate, when you buy it, it already comes with the fire ring on it, but from handling it, it'll fall out. Just make sure you don't lose it, because you're gonna need it when you put it on the up pipe. And she's ready. Don't laugh. This is an e-brake tool. I use this for the clamps. It works out great. So we're just gonna lay it up here for now. You got the fire ring, make sure it's on there. You're gonna push the wastegate up against the up pipe. And then the V-band clamp. You're gonna have to work it around. Just make sure you're nice and centered on the actual. I get my little trusty tool. And just clamp down on it. And then I'll set up the bolt, get a channel lock just so I can squeeze it some more. It just has nipples in the way. I went ahead and presented the nut and the bolt for the V-band clamp. Now I pretty much have a good angle. What you want to do is get the dump tube, line it up flush on the wastegate, and just feel it out. Now the nice thing about it, I still have it tightened up the V-band. So we're just gonna go ahead and mount it with the V-band on the dump tube so I can rotate it in the perfect angle. Just set up the tube. I just like to put it in an up and down angle. So now you'll see that I can rotate it. So I'll rotate it, turn the dump tube a little bit downward. Too much. Alright, that's a perfect angle. If you notice, it'll clear right there. It's not making contact on the tranny. It's far away from the actual axle boot. So that should be good enough to clear away from, give you clearance for the downpipe to come down. So we're gonna go ahead and just tighten up these two. This one and this one. We're gonna go ahead and tighten them up. Don't forget to put the downpipe gasket back on. We're gonna go ahead and test fit the downpipe for clearance. And we're good. It's not making contact on the downpipe. It's away. And if you notice, you see the nipple? It's on the downside, so it's away from, it's furthest from the actual heat itself. So we're golden. We can go ahead and start bolting up the downpipe now. Just bolting up the downpipe to turbo now, and then we're gonna go ahead and address the internal wastegate. Yeah, once I get through this. All right, don't forget, now that the downpipe's already tightened up and in position, we're gonna go ahead, so we don't forget the pitch mount. We're gonna bolt it back up again. Just make sure it's lined up. Pass through the 14, and then we're gonna go ahead and tighten it up. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the internal wastegate so we can block it off. But first, we're gonna have to remove the seat clip. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but there's a seat clip right under it. We're gonna have to go ahead and pull it out. So find yourself a nice little pick with a good angle. I use my mirror to see where I'm going. And then just try to find a spot where I can get it, and then pull it out. And there's your seat clip. Save it there. So now that we take the seat clip out, this will pop out. Now we can go ahead and remove the actual wastegate. So it's an 8mm bolt. There's 2 of them holding it in place, I believe. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that, because we're gonna reuse these bolts again. The other one's a little bit tricky to see, but it's on the bottom side of it. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect the line from the EBCS, and we can go ahead and pull out the wastegate. Now, the wastegate sits like this. Like I was saying, you have a top 8mm bolt and the bottom one. So we're gonna get those. Just be very careful, because they are small and they tend to drop easily, so you don't want to try to avoid that. We're gonna go ahead and start setting up the block off plate. A little adapter. It's basically a 12mm bolt. Run it through. And then we're gonna set up the nut in the bottom. We're just gonna go ahead and reroute. Since now the plug is a little bit shorter, we're just gonna go ahead and break the clip loose. Just bring it under here, onto the actual harness. And we can plug in the frontal 2 now. Just leave it there, it'll be fine. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put the heat shield on, plumb the EBCS to the actual wastegate, intercooler pipe on, then we're done.
Bottom in.
Nice. Alright, since you're recording. Go ahead, we're gonna route vacuum line along the side of the power steering line, so it's as far away from the heat as possible. Alright, we're just gonna follow this line, this power steering line. Gonna cut the length right here. All right, now that the vacuum line is already set up, I'm just gonna go ahead and tie wrap it and make sure it doesn't come off. I'm also gonna tie wrap it to the power steering line so it stays organized and away from the heat. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the heat shield back on. In 2 seconds, you'll see the heat shield on.
Alright guys, I'm back home. I did have to drive slow since I did not get it tuned yet. I will be getting it tuned soon by Mikey Body, so make sure you don't miss that video coming soon. Also, if you guys have any questions, maybe some tips and tricks, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Also guys, if you're interested in supporting the channel so we can put out more videos like this, make sure to hit the join button right next to the subscribe button to become a member. If you stay till the end, make sure to comment more boost down below. That way I know you are a loyal one and you stay till the end. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, share it with someone that may benefit from it. Also subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, and see you guys in the next one. Thanks.